Alrighty, let's go ahead and get this party started. Appreciate everybody for being here. This live stream almost didn't happen today because I've got a teething infant that just turned 5 months old today. So you may actually hear him fussing in the background a little bit. But nonetheless, appreciate you all for being here today. God bless you. Please give it a like and a share. Let's get it out on social media. Just brought this stream together in the last hour. So I don't have my usual list of 12 topics or more. So we're just going to focus on Aaron Rodgers completely destroying this narrative that, everybody needs to get this medicine and we're going to somehow go back to normal because there are still people that think we can comply our way out of this, you guys. And it's just complete, utter lunacy. So we'll get into all that. We'll talk about Biden's vaccine mandate and how more than 24 states are pushing back and going to file lawsuits. This whole thing is going to be tied up in litigation. And then, of course, Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong. I mean, I'm no judge, I'm no jury, but I can clearly see with my own two eyes that he did nothing wrong. And this is completely politically driven. And it just, further undermines public trust in our institutions. Everything is political nowadays. I mean, who can honestly deny this? I know there are people who disagree with everything I say, but can they disagree that every single thing has been politicized? And it's ridiculous, especially in our public institutions. So we'll get into that and then whatever other topics come to mind or, we'll figure it out. But before we get started, I do want to thank a donation or a donator by the name of Michael W. I got your donation yesterday. Again, I'm going to say the donations on air because normally I'm able to email everybody that donates, but I can't do that anymore from PayPal for whatever reason. So anyway, we got that out of the way. I'm going to start with this quote because this quote right here that you see before you is so spot on. It says, "You know what's selfish? People expecting others to surrender their liberties so they can enjoy a false sense of security." So, the vaccine cult's narrative continues to be, you don't have the right to kill people because they operate from the premise of if you haven't been vaccinated against COVID, it means you have COVID and you're killing people, which is obviously it's so dishonest that your head will spin. But that's where they operate from. Either you have COVID, either you have the COVID vaccine, or you're a danger to society. We didn't used to think that way. This isn't healthy. It's not normal. It's not backed by science. It's not factual, but it's their argument. And they continue to use that argument as a basis for attacking everyone else that they don't like, which is people who don't agree, people who won't join their cult. This is not normal. Everybody has looked to this as the solution. That's the only thing that matters. That's why I say it's a cult. The only thing that matters is this big pharmaceutical product. There's so many vaccine sales reps, unpaid. They will hard sell you, tell you all the benefits. You need to get it. Here's why I did it. Here's my profile picture on Facebook showing you I got it. Look at me. I'm saving the world. I'm moral. I'm better than you. So not only do these people have a false sense of moral superiority, they think that you need to get it so they can have a false sense of security. So now that we got that little bit out of the way, I don't want to go on a rant too much because Aaron Rodgers cleared up a lot of it anyway. I mean, we're going to play his interview that he did today with I forget the punter's name, punter for the Indianapolis Colts. He went on his podcast today and gave an interview. But before we even get to there, I do want to remind people, this is a cult. This is the proof right here that it's a cult.
See your hands again. They're all clean hands. I'm washing them. Let me hear it if you've had the Pfizer vaccine.
For fuck's sake.
Let me hear it from Moderna. AstraZeneca. See it from the anti-vaxxers.
Oh, unbelievable.
See? Not normal. Not normal. But that's what people have done. Team Pfizer. That was Joy Reid, right? Now, as far as this Aaron Rodgers situation, here's how it all started in case people don't know. Back in the summer, before the season started, he was asked if he had been vaccinated, because at that time they were all over everybody. Who's been vaccinated? Who hasn't? As if it's any of their damn business. This is a journalist. And he said, yeah, I've been immunized. And so now they find out that he wasn't vaccinated. They just found out recently because he tested positive for COVID. He can't play this Sunday. And the media mob just instantly went on the march attacking him. How could this happen? Aaron Rodgers didn't get vaccinated and the NFL let him play anyway. The NFL doesn't have a vaccine mandate. So what's the problem here? They're mad because he is seen as like, he's obviously one of the bigger names in football. And they feel like he lied about being vaccinated and he was able to play anyway, even though there's plenty of unvaccinated players. I mean, Cole Beasley from the Bills is very vocal about his vaccination status. And then, so I don't understand why they're just going after Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't make any sense, especially when, why is this even on people's radar that are focused on the NFL? They were more upset about John Gruden's emails and Aaron Rodgers being unvaccinated and Cole Beasley being unvaccinated than they were about Henry Ruggs, who just killed a woman and her dog. Right? The outrage level is just not there. They can never keep the same energy about things that really matter. So they got these little op-eds. Opinion: Aaron Rodgers has COVID. He lied about being vaccinated and being a team player. He's not a team player because he didn't tell you his business. Or this headline right here: Aaron Rodgers needs to be suspended, but the NFL probably won't have the guts to do it because he didn't get the big pharma injection. It's weird. Super weird. And then The View. I know. Why am I using The View? This is low IQ television right here. But this is how they frame it. Listen to Anna Navarro.
A good one. Nice.
It can't be that because you're one of the biggest stars, those rules don't apply to you, right? This guy has a $134 million 4-year deal. And I remember how the NFL reacted, and you talk about this all the time, when Colin Kaepernick took a knee. Well, nobody was going to die from Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. Nobody was going to catch a pandemic disease that's continuing to ravage the world from taking a knee. And so, if he's violating rules, if he is lying to his fans, to his colleagues, to the staff, if we lie, CNN.
Is he any worse than DeSantis, though, really?
See, what does DeSantis have to do with this? What does Colin Kaepernick have to do with this? Completely unrelated, false equivalence, makes zero sense. And we're going to get into the hypocrisy and the fact that it doesn't matter if you have been vaccinated or not, because Matt Nagy, the head coach of the Bears, fully vaccinated, had to miss last week's game. Antonio Brown, fully vaccinated, had to miss last week's game. They only care because Aaron Rodgers didn't get it. That's the only thing they care about. But here we go. Aaron Rodgers completely destroying the narrative in a calm, rational, reasonable way.
I realize I'm in the crosshairs of the woke mob right now. So before my final nail gets put in my cancel culture casket, I think I'd like to set the record straight on so many of the blatant lies that are out there about myself right now. And I appreciate the opportunity to tell my side of the story on here. First of all, I didn't lie in the initial press conference. During that time, it was a very, witch hunt that was going on across the league, where everybody in the media was so concerned about who was vaccinated and who wasn't, and what that meant, and who was being selfish, and who would talk about it, and what it meant if they said it's a personal decision. They shouldn't have to disclose their own medical information and whatnot. And at the time, my plan was to say that I've been immunized. It wasn't some sort of ruse or lie. It was the truth. And I'll get into the whole immunization in a second. But had there been a follow-up to my statement that I've been immunized, I would have responded with this. I would have said, look, I'm not, some sort of anti-vax flat earther. I am somebody who's a critical thinker. You guys know me. I march to the beat of my own drum. I believe strongly in bodily autonomy and the ability to make choices for your body, not to have to acquiesce to some woke culture or crazed, group of individuals who say you have to do something. Health is not a one size fits all for everybody.
Where's the lie? Just wondering, where's the lie? Where did he lie right there? I want to know. There's a second part of this. That's why I paused it right here. The second part where he goes into his reason for not getting it, but he called out the fact that it's not healthy to try to pressure people to get medicine that you want them to take. If you've protected yourself, why do you care if other people have? And oh, by the way, even if he got this medication, if he got this injection, it changes nothing. He can still catch it. He can still spread it. I have no idea why there are still so many people who think that this is the end all be all. All you got to do is just get this vaccine and you're going to be fine and we'll all be fine. It's literally not true. Jen Psaki, fully vaccinated, caught COVID. Jesse Jackson, fully vaccinated, caught COVID. Colin Powell, fully vaccinated, hospitalized, died. Jesse Jackson was also hospitalized. There are countless numbers of people. Oscar De La Hoya, fully vaccinated, hospitalized due to COVID. And they say, well, you're going to be dead if you don't get the vaccine. You're going to be hospitalized. You reduce your chances of being hospitalized. Okay, wouldn't that be a me problem? Wouldn't that be an Aaron Rodgers problem? How does that affect you, fully vaccinated person? Why have you made it your business to care so much about other people and what they have done with their body? It shouldn't affect you, right? This is the whole thing. That's why I say it is a cult. And that's why even now, after this interview, the mob has written articles attacking him. He's been compared to QAnon supporters and all of the just crazy, unhinged, irrational arguments that are being made towards him. So good for him calling out the cult, the mob, the unruly attacks against him. When I said all the time, all these players and coaches are still getting COVID while fully vaccinated, nobody has an argument against that. I don't know why they still continue to attack him, but let's hear what else he has to say.
And for me, it involved a lot of study in the off season, much like the study I put into hosting Jeopardy or the weekly study I put into playing the game. I put a lot of time and energy and research and met with a lot of different people in the medical field to get the most information about the vaccines before making a decision. And in actuality, it was pretty easy in the beginning to eliminate two of them. And it didn't involve going into the questionable history of some of their criminal activities and fraud cases or any of that stuff. It was simply the fact that I have an allergy to an ingredient that's in the mRNA vaccines. So on the CDC's own website, it says, should you have an allergy to any of the ingredients, you should not get one of the mRNA vaccines. So those two were out already. So my only option was Johnson & Johnson. At this time, in the early spring, I had heard of multiple people who had adverse events around getting the J&J. Nothing that was no deaths or anything, but just some really difficult times and physical abnormalities around the J&J shot. And then in mid-April, the J&J shot got pulled for clotting issues, if you remember that, right? So the J&J shot was not even an option at that point. So then my options became, okay, what can I do to protect myself and my teammates if there's not one of the big three options for me in my own body? And so I looked into and talked again to a lot of medical individuals and professionals and found that there was an immunization protocol that I could go to best protect myself and my teammates. And it was a long-term protocol that involved, multiple months. And I'm very, proud of the research that went into that. The individuals that I met with, and we felt like it was what was best for me. It was not, again, something that the league didn't know about. The league was fully aware of it upon my return to the Packers. And it was at that point that I petitioned them to accept my immunization status as under their vaccination protocol. Now, at the time, they had only had the big three was what they're going to do. And if you weren't in the vaccinated category, you were you were in a different category, which involved some draconian measures and protocols that you would have to adhere to, which, in my opinion, were not based on science. We're more based in a shame-based environment to try and get as many guys to get vaccinated as possible.
Yeah,
So
shame-based environment. It's not about science. It's not. We can pull up numerous examples of how these people are so fake and so phony. It's not about science, it's not about public health. The guy occupying the White House literally spit on a woman last week. We got the receipts. I played the video. How is that about health? COVID or not, he was right next to a woman, right up in her face, talking, spit on her. Nobody has anything to say about it. All these vaccine zealots out there, all these people are like, it's about health. You're killing people's grandma. That's not safe. What about the children? These people that have lost their minds, they've completely surrendered to COVID. COVID is their God now. It's their religion. Fauci's the high priest. The people that are just, this is all they think about now. It's all that matters to them. The fully vaccinated people that still fear COVID, right? They're so upset about this, but if they don't even look at the people who are pushing these mandates, it's not about health. You don't have to show papers. You don't have to be fully vaccinated to cross the border illegally. But if you fly over here, if you come over, with a passport, you got to show all your papers, right? This has been well documented for over a year now. We're coming on 2 years since we've been stuck with this situation, right? Countless number of people caught without masks, traveling when they told you not to travel, closed your business, but they went and gathered in public, large groups. The mayor of San Francisco talking about, I just was feeling the spirit. That's why I had to be unmasked at the bar. When she has a mask mandate for her whole city. Governor Phil Murphy, who his staffers, governor in question, Phil Murphy, that's a whole nother story, New Jersey. One of his staffers caught on an undercover camera saying he's going to implement a vaccine mandate, but after the election. Okay, if it's about public health, why are you putting your political ambitions before that? Why wouldn't you implement a vaccine mandate now? Why are you waiting until after the election to do it? Because number one, it's not popular. Number two, it's not about health. So waiting to implement a mandate that could save lives, why would you do that, Phil Murphy? Now it just remains to be seen if and when he implements this vaccine mandate, but he got busted saying, his campaign staffer saying, yeah, he's going to wait. And then after he's reelected, then he's going to implement it. Okay. Why is Biden waiting until January 4th to implement this vaccine mandate for all these corporations? Why not do it right now? Why are these businesses, why did Bill de Blasio remove the option for people who are unvaccinated to get tested in order to go to work? He's like, no, it's just vaccine or you don't get to work anymore. Isn't it more important to know if somebody comes to work and has COVID versus if they've been vaccinated? Because again, we have to continue to reiterate, because people don't want to believe this. Vaccinated or not, you can still catch this virus and spread it. That's a fact. So if it's about health, shouldn't you just test everyone all the time, regardless of their status? If it's in fact about health, you should do that. But they refuse to do it. And it's just these people, man. So they're mad at Aaron Rodgers. They're upset. He's not going to play this week in a big game against the Chiefs. They're upset about it. And they're using it to make the argument, had he been vaccinated, when we know that that's a lie, that's been thoroughly debunked. That's actually debunked every single week when vaccinated players get put on the COVID reserve list, and coaches and staff, and they can't play, they can't coach, they can't perform, they can't do whatever they were supposed to do that week while being fully vaccinated. They're just bringing down the house on Aaron Rodgers because he has a mind of his own and he's going against the narrative. They don't like that, especially if you're in a high position. They're upset at Kyrie Irving. How dare you think for yourself? You must be a QAnon science denier if you don't believe in this, if you don't trust Fauci and the science and the CDC. Everyone's mad at him. Nobody has anything to say. These branch COVIDians, the people that are just obsessed with your vaccination status, they do not care that Fauci tortured beagle puppies. They don't care that this virus was made in a lab that we have funded with our own tax money gain of function research in China, who's not our friend. And now all of a sudden, this virus, we have to live with it now. It's all over the world. It's not going anywhere. So you cannot comply or inject your way out of this. That's a fact. It's evolving. It's mutating. Bill Gates is already talking about watch out for smallpox coming back. There's a possibility. What if that happened? Just something to pay attention to. Bill Gates and, all those people that run the World Economic Forum, Johns Hopkins, they have amazing foresight. They happen to know COVID was coming. I don't know how they knew, but they just knew like a few months before. Now Bill Gates is talking about that. So there's always going to be some existential threat to justify the lockdowns, the power grabs, the controlling people through fear. When are y'all going to wake up and see it? Do you just prefer to bury your heads in the sand when these people continue to lie? And for the people who deny that this is political, here's how all of the leaders were talking last year when Trump was in office.
Skeptical American public about taking the vaccine, and they should be.
We can't trust the president and take his word and take a vaccine that might cause harm to us.
If and when the vaccine comes, and it's not likely to go through all the tests that needs to be and the trials that are needed to be done.
Let's just say there's a vaccine that is approved and even distributed before the election. Would you get it?
Well, I think that's going to be an issue for all of us.
When we finally do, God willing, get a vaccine, who's going to take the shot? Who's going to take the shot?
We will need to have access to the vaccine results so we can make our independent assessment to make sure that Donald Trump's fingerprints are not on it.
You can be the first one to say, sign me up. They now say it's okay.
Is the vaccine safe? Frankly, I'm not going to trust the federal government's opinion. And I wouldn't recommend to New Yorkers based on the federal government's opinion.
And the question of whether it's real when it's there, that requires enormous transparency.
Would you trust that vaccine?
There's very little that we can trust that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth.
We cannot take for granted this process will be free of political influence.
I don't trust the president, and I don't trust the FDA.
If Donald Trump can't give answers and the administration can't give answers to these three questions, the American people should not have confidence.
You're going to say to the American people now, here's a vaccine, it was new, it was done quickly, but trust this federal administration and their health administration that it's safe?
I will say that I would not trust Donald Trump.
Hey, how confident are you in the approval process of the FDA right now?
How confident am I? I'm not that confident.
Yes, I would be hesitant, but I'm going to ask a lot of questions.
You're going to need someone other than this FDA and this CDC saying it's safe.
You got to make all of it available to other experts across the nation so they can look and see. So there's consensus, this is a safe vaccine.
What I'm worried about is that there's some sort of October surprise.
They're worried about some October surprise. So what changed, you guys? I'm not sure, other than the fact that there are guys in there now. Now we need to trust the science, trust the experts at the CDC, trust the FDA. If you don't get it, you're a science denier and you're killing someone's grandma. You're irresponsible. You're selfish. If you want freedom and liberty, if you want to make your own decision based on this, you're just a selfish, dangerous person. But 12 months ago, they were acting as though Trump himself were stirring up the vaccine like some evil potion, like some witch. That's how delusional the Trump derangement syndrome was. That's how it was. And now all of a sudden, well, Biden's in there. It's probably good. It's safe. You should do it. And we're going to ostracize you and segregate you from society if you don't want to take this shot. It's all phony, completely phony. And it was just proven through that video. And there's more. There's more. All these celebrities, all these entertainers, Hollywood, the woke cancel culture mob. America's tired of it. We're tired of this trash. So props to Aaron Rodgers. He's on board with this. Good. I think he might have one other thing he said in this. I think he called out the fact that when Trump was in there, everybody was super hesitant. And now it's basically a crime to be hesitant. You'll lose your livelihood if you want to make these decisions for yourself. You need to let leftists on Twitter and your leaders make the decision for you. And oh yeah, and if you happen to have any kind of side effects, which they almost pretend like doesn't exist. It's impossible. This is the first ever vaccine with no downside, no side effects. You're not allowed to talk about it. You'll be censored. Medical misinformation. But if you do happen to have one of those guess what? You can't even sue Big Pharma. That's what I'm saying. Everybody's just doing the bidding of Big Pharma, just hardcore shilling for vaccine manufacturers. It's weird. I want my country back. That's it. We'll move on to Kyle Rittenhouse. I have not really followed this trial. I haven't been watching it, but I've heard some of the testimonies and stuff like that, and I see the new video that just came out. I'm going to play it on mute in the background just because there's not a lot to it, but it's a new video showing him running. It shows people chasing him. You can hear from if I had the volume on, somebody fires a gun as he's running. So you know somebody's chasing him who has a gun. They try to hit him with a skateboard. And now they're mad that he defended himself. Now, remind you, these are the people who torched, burned down Kenosha over Jacob Blake. Somebody they didn't know anything about, somebody who's a criminal. But those are the only kind of black people that matter to them. They do not care that a black woman was just elected governor of Virginia. They don't like success stories of black people. They like black people in a victimized role that's expedient for them and their agenda. That's why George Floyd's life matters. Say his name, say their name. But they don't say the names of the little kids that get murdered. Murders go unsolved in Minneapolis. Dozens of children shot this year, more than previous years. Nobody cares. Nobody marches for them. No murals. I could put their pictures on the screen right now. Wouldn't even recognize them. They don't care about Anaya Allen or Trinity Benson. They don't care about any of them. They care about Jacob Blake. So I just wanted to set that as backdrop here. That's what this Kenosha riot was. That's what started this. That's what sparked this. So Kyle Rittenhouse goes out there, as you can see from the video here. He's running, trying to get away. And they chase him down. Somebody tries to hit him in the face with a skateboard, and he shot him. He defended himself. Case closed. That's the end of it. Now, if he ultimately gets prosecuted for this, that's only going to make people who are paying attention have even less trust in our politicized judicial system. While they talk about it's unfair for minorities, minorities don't get the same treatment, even though a Texas black school shooter just went out on probation, not even being charged with attempted murder. He's not on probation. He's on bond or whatever, ankle monitor, not charged with attempted murder after a mass shooting at his school. You see black suspects getting let go all the time. They don't care because it doesn't help their narrative. Right? But Kyle Rittenhouse, who knows how this is going to play out? You don't know. I mean, the mob, the mob rule tends to control justice now. So we'll see. Just like the Derek Chauvin trial, the facts, the evidence, when that comes out, they don't care. The prosecutors are just overzealous. They still want to go after and prosecute people. I mean, we could go on and on. We could talk about January 6th and people that are being persecuted there, political prisoners, DC Gitmo. Somebody actually just got moved out of the DC jail because of the deplorable conditions that they discovered there. The mob doesn't care. It's all about their agenda. So Kyle Rittenhouse, I think with the photos, even you can look and tell like he's on the ground. People are after him. There's the gun right there of the person that could have killed him. There again, there's the person with the gun. But these facts just don't matter. Here's him getting assaulted with a skateboard. They don't care. Kyle Rittenhouse is a white supremacist mass murderer. That's what they were saying before all this information came out. They didn't even know. All they knew is he's a white dude and he's got the scary gun that I don't like that we need to ban. And he killed people who were protesting for Jacob Blake, which in reality they were rioting for Jacob Blake, but mostly peaceful. You know that whole narrative. These people care more about their narrative and their feelings than what is true. They do not value the truth. So these photos come out. You have the information. Here's somebody trying to kick him in the face. One of these people is, I want to say, sex offender or somebody that's a career criminal. I don't remember what their rap sheet was, but I talked about this last year when it happened. I just don't remember which person it was. So he shot 3 people. And in my opinion, this is case closed. But does the jury see this? Does the judge see this? We'll have to wait and see. But Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong. And it's okay to say that. Say it. No matter what you say, you're going to be called a racist, white supremacist anyway. I mean, they're still doing this. After, what has it been, 3 days since the election? Since they shocked the world? These candidates right here? Since the new regime or the new administration is coming in Virginia? I didn't mean to say regime at all. Just thinking Biden's regime. This was a blowback to the Biden regime. The fact that Virginia just went in a completely different direction, a direction that's more optimistic. So they're upset. They're still saying on MSNBC, this is due to white supremacy. We do not care that Winsome Sears is a black woman, the first black woman elected to a statewide office in the state of Virginia. We do not care about that. Our narrative that we're going to tell our followers in our echo chamber is that it was those racist suburban white women who don't want to see their country change. That's the reason that this happened. That's the reason that Terry McAuliffe lost. It wasn't because he was a trash candidate who danced like a sociopath after he lost. I would never trust anybody that acts like that after they just lost something, or they should have a different tone. I'm just saying, I felt like I was watching a scene from The Joker. Totally career politician, corrupt, ridiculous candidacy. His whole campaign was a joke. It wasn't that he sucked. It's that Glenn Youngkin is just a raging white supremacist. His dog whistles, which only we can hear on MSNBC. We have secret ears, top secret ears that we can just hear all the dog whistles. And Glenn Youngkin put out these dog whistles as he's standing here with a black woman. So that's still their narrative. They're still salty. They're still butthurt. Let them keep doing this. Let them continue to double down, because it's only going to help. It's going to help fuel the midterms. You can already tell exactly what they're going to do, what their agenda and their narrative is going to be going into 2022. On January 6, 2022, that's all you're going to hear about on that day. Today marks the first year since the worst ever atrocity to happen on our soil. Worse than 9/11, worse than Pearl Harbor, worse than the Civil War. January 6th, where Trump led an insurrectionist, white supremacist mob to attack our democracy. That's what will happen. And guess what? America's going to be so turned off by that. It provides nothing but momentum for Republicans going into the midterm. So good. Never interrupt your enemy when they are in the process of destroying themselves. So that's what they're going to roll with. They're going to roll with white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy. Everything is white supremacy. Everybody I don't like is Hitler. Everything is white supremacy. Let them do it. That's what they're going to do, and it's going to be to their detriment. They won't even highlight the fact or acknowledge the fact that history was made. They love black people unless those black people aren't indoctrinated and controlled by the left. So they don't like Winsome Sears. They don't like Glenn Youngkin. They don't like charismatic, popular people who are honest and want to see a better future, people that have vision. They only want to protect the most corrupt, evil politicians that stage fake white nationalist false flags and constantly lie. How do they have this radar that can detect Glenn Youngkin's white supremacy, but they can't even detect or say anything about the fact that the guy who currently sits in the governor's mansion of Virginia has been pictured in blackface and the Klan robe? Actually, we don't know which one he was, but we do know that he's pictured there. Let that sink in. The current sitting governor of Virginia, dressed in blackface and or the KKK outfit, robe, hood. Nobody has anything to say about that. You won't hear Joy Reid talk about it. You won't hear Van Jones say anything about it. He's just going to continue talking about the Delta variant of Trumpism and white lash. People are frauds, man. Complete phonies, fakes. I think that, I could go for a little bit more. There's got to be something else that we can talk about here before I go, because I don't think we're quite at an hour yet. We still got 35 minutes here. So I have a list of different topics I didn't think I would get to, but we can talk about Governor Murphy shies from the strict vaccine mandate for New Jersey teachers and public workers. So, yeah, we'll see what happens now that he has been reselected for governor. We'll see. But Phil Murphy, did I have that pulled up twice? Citarelli campaign reacts to AP decision. It's irresponsible to call the vote this early for Murphy. So he has not conceded. So we will see what happens there with that. And let's talk about where is it at? Here we go. The trucker who spent $6,000 on New Jersey Senate campaign unseated the powerful Democrat. You love to see this. Edward Durr officially unseated that corrupt politician. He unseated this guy, and now he's saying there's still outstanding votes out there. We got to find those outstanding votes. He's saying that there's I think he said 12,000 ballots that are still out there. So they're trying to steal that, but I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, they've already called it for this man. You have to love the direction that the country is going in right now. We haven't had much to celebrate. We haven't had many wins. We haven't had much to be optimistic about. And I don't want to minimize everything else that's going on, right? It's just, it's nice to focus on the positive aspects for a change. We know we have the supply chain crisis and record inflation and labor shortage and forced tension, segregation. We know we have all that going on. We know that we have the most corrupt, the most incompetent president we've ever seen. Just complete disaster. We know all of that, but hey, you got ordinary citizens, truck drivers, unseating politicians who've been in their seats for decades. You have the mayor of Buffalo, the new mayor of Buffalo, winning because he was a write-in candidate and he beat out a socialist because the city of Buffalo, New York, came together to reject the socialist candidate that was backed by AOC, Bernie Sanders. This is real momentum. The real change happens at the state and local level. So you love to see it. You got Seattle. You got Amy Davison elected next Seattle city attorney. That's a huge win in a city that desperately needs it. I mean, Seattle is deep blue. Their sitting mayor, Jenny Durkin, said Chaz was the summer of love as people were being murdered in that ridiculous autonomous zone. People were dying in there. Ridiculous. So Seattle gets a win. Minneapolis got a win, rejecting Ilhan Omar's rhetoric about removing and dismantling the police department. The city of Minneapolis said, not so fast. You're crazy. Now imagine if Ilhan Omar herself were on the ballot, right? That would have been perfect. Should we defund and dismantle the police department? Also, should Ilhan Omar be reelected? That would have been perfect together because you could have sent her packing. But I got to wait a little bit longer. And hopefully Minneapolis makes the right decision. Although, as Project Veritas exposed thoroughly last year, they're paying for ballots up there. Cash for ballots, confirmed. Right? So, but otherwise, these are wins that are happening on a massive scale at the hyper local level. And you got to feel good about that. You got to feel optimistic going into the midterms that change happens quickly. And it starts with how you vote in your local elections. Because your local elections will determine, they'll have a bigger impact on your life than national elections. Take, for example, if you live in a state like Florida where you participate in your local election in 2018, you got a governor that is standing firmly against the tyranny coming out of the White House. You know, you got to vote in the right Congress and senators. You got to get these people in that are going to stand for freedom. It's all about freedom. It's so controversial to the zealots out there. It's not about freedom. It's about my health. And everyone must get Big Pharma's product in order for me to feel safe and healthy. So, yeah. What else? I hope everybody got a chance that wanted to, that checked out the Patriot Purge put out by Tucker Carlson. I watched the last episode of it. I know that kind of got swallowed up by the election this week, but it's a really good docuseries. The last episode highlights Ashley Babbitt. It's extremely hard to watch, very graphic, but it's footage that even I hadn't seen before. It's sad, but it highlights just how dangerous our government is. If they can just shoot you dead for having the wrong political beliefs and then say, well, you're a threat to our democracy. You're an insurrectionist. You're a domestic terrorist. I don't care what happened in the summer of 2020. I don't care that that was actually an attempted insurrection, at least in cities like Portland and Seattle. We don't care about that. We care about the people who walked into the Capitol building. That's all that matters. All that matters is January 6th and COVID-19 injections. Those are the only two things that you're going to hear them talk about next year. But that last episode is pretty good. It's pretty powerful. I think you can go to foxnation.com or tuckercarlson.com to check it out. It's pretty good. If nothing else, it's informative. So I don't want to really go through the rest of these. I'm ready to check out, honestly, for the weekend. Like I said, I got a teething toddler, not toddler, but he'll be a toddler soon enough. They grow up so fast. Anyway, he's teething. So I got to probably head out here, but I do want to thank the super chat, whoever sent the super chat at the beginning of the stream. Thank you so much. I think your comment was actually that this is your favorite channel. So I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody for watching. The best thing you can do right now is give this stream a thumbs up. If you're watching for the first time, subscribe. Hopefully you do, and hit the bell notification so you don't miss any live streams, any uploads. Everyone else, please just smash that like button. It's so easy to do. It's effortless, guys. Just like the stream. Please help me out. I appreciate you all for being here. I hope everybody enjoys their weekend. I'm basically all tapped out at this point, you guys. There's more topics I could cover here, but I'm going to head into my weekend. I'll be back on Monday with more of this dangerous, controversial, right-wing extremist content that was just normal. Like 2 years ago, it was common sense. Now it's crazy anti-vaxxer Trumpism, right? You guys know. I won't ramble. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. God bless you. I will catch you next week in next week's stream.